Mr. William David Tarver. I call him David, so that's the way it's going to be. Good morning,
Okay,
David.
good morning. I
How are
prefer
you?
David, so that's fine.
How are you?
Doing all right. Doing all
That's
right.
good. Good. I want you to hear his story. Give us a little bit about yourself. You grew up in Flint, right?
Yep,
Come on.
grew up in Flint. I'm a Flintstone, and
Oh, is that what they call them,
that's what
Flintstones?
that's what they came to call us after
so
we
you
got some
so you
basketball
you drive with your
success.
feet? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I break with my feet. So yeah, so I grew up in Flint and started my college career at Kettering University. It was General Motors Institute at the time. Graduated though from University of Michigan in electrical engineering, bachelor's and master's degrees in electrical engineering. And after college, I moved out to New Jersey to work for AT&T Bell Laboratories, which was the premier research and development electronics and telecommunications company at the
What was
time.
your particular area?
I was involved in developing diagnostic systems for measuring the performance of data communications links, and that was
Duh.
that was my specialty. And while I was there, I developed an idea for a business opportunity. Which when I went there, I knew I wanted to start a business the whole time. Uh,
Why did you want to start a business? Because back then it was so much easier to work for someone.
Yes. Well, I grew up in Flint during the 60s, and the civil rights movement was a very empowering thing at that time. And I grew up like a lot of young people. I wanted to change the world. And I saw this civil rights movement, which gave me hope and gave me inspiration. And also, I saw, because of my father, who was involved in electronics but never really was able to get a job in the electronics field, I saw him working in the field, and he acquainted me with transistors and lasers and all those kinds of things. And I saw this tremendous movement in the technology field. And I thought, between the two of those things, between this empowerment that came from the civil rights movement and also the empowerment that came from this technology revolution that was taking place, that I would be able to make a career in this area.
So Bell Labs, how long were you at Bell Labs before you?
Yes. When I went out there, I intended to stay 1 or 2 years. I ended up staying 7 years.
Oh,
And I managed to recruit a couple of buddies to come into my basement and start this business with me. So we started a business making devices that tested the performance of different kinds of telecommunications equipment. And we built that business from a basement startup to a multi-million dollar company that sold products in 25 countries. And we sold the business in 1995 to a British company.
oh, I thought it was a Asian company. It was a
No, it's a
British.
British company. It's now called Spirent PLC.
Uh huh.
And as of a couple of years ago, the company we started did about $150 million in sales worldwide. So it's remained a very successful company
Oh well, that was wonderful. So that was 1995 when
when
you.
we sold. Yes.
And so what happened next?
So I stayed around for a few years. They asked me to build a telecommunications division for this company, and I did that. We built a division that was about a $500 million entity. And after 3 or 4 years, when my contract was up, I decided to leave and do other things, because that's why I sold my business in the first place. I didn't build it to stay and work for them. So I got involved in some community activities in New Jersey, because I was just hungry for that. After spending all this time as a technical person and on planes all the time and not really being connected to the community, I
Right.
felt a need to do that.
And then you decided to move back here.
Yes. So my sister passed away in 2005, and she
Oh.
and my mom were very close. And my son graduated from high school in 2007. My daughter graduated from NYU in 2007. And so there was really no need for me to remain in New Jersey after that time. So my wife and I decided that we would move back to Michigan and to be near my mom. And my son ended up that same year deciding to go to University of Michigan.
Oh,
And so he graduated in 2011 from the School of Business there.
so what did he do after that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, he
Like,
went to work for Cisco Systems
oh,
out in the Bay Area, and he lives in San Francisco now, and he's enjoying himself.
right, right. Well, I've seen pictures of your older kids on Facebook,
Yeah.
and everything. And he lives the kind of life, ladies and gentlemen, that is a combination of so much. You, you're teaching,
Yes.
and look, and then he does adventures too. So everybody doesn't have that opportunity, but you've created that for yourself. And I always tell people, create your life.
Mm.
And that's something that you did. Would you tell the audience about what you're doing right now?
Yes, well, as you say, I feel really blessed, and I experienced firsthand the transformative power of entrepreneurship because it's given me this gift to be able to kind of do what I want to do in life. And so, before we moved back to Michigan, I started writing a book about my
I was
business
going to bring
experience.
that up. Proving ground.
Proving
I
ground.
almost brought it this morning, but I said he'll bring it.
I
It's
almost brought it too, and I said, we talked about that before.
yeah,
so-
but it's nice
but
to show.
It's called Proving Ground, and if you type David Tarver in on Amazon, you'll come up to that book, and you
Great
can check
book.
it out.
Tell the audience what that's about, since we've.
Well, it's really
mentioned-
about this journey from the civil rights era through starting a business in the basement. It tells the whole story of what it was about from beginning to end. But I tried not to make it a business how-to book. I tried to make it so that people who read the book would really understand what it was like to go through this experience of starting a business from scratch and building it up, and it would inspire people who might be thinking of doing that sort of thing. So I started writing this book in 2001. I continued writing it after we moved here, and I finished it and we published it in 2012. I remember you were at the book party. We had a
Yeah.
great time.
Yeah, we
Uh,
sure did. And he can sing. He should have been a recording artist because you sing wonderfully.
Well, engineering was a little more lucrative at the time.
Well, yeah.
But I do enjoy singing. In fact, I was at a party at Tech Town last night. They had their toast of the town party, and I was tempted to just break up there with the band. And when I finally did, they were breaking down for me. It took me a while to build my courage up. But at any rate, I came back here. I completed the book. I got involved with the University of Michigan, and they asked me if I would be interested in teaching a course. And then the young lady who I was the professor I was dealing with there, who was responsible for the program, asked me if I would teach 2 courses. And I said, I haven't taught for a long time, so going from nothing to 2 is kind of big. But she convinced me to go ahead and dive in.
Tell
And I
the
did.
audience what these courses are.
Well, there are 2 different entrepreneurship courses. So one of them is in the College of Engineering. It's an entrepreneurship course that is designed to help engineers who might want to be entrepreneurs to be able to commercialize their skills. But it's a general purpose entrepreneurship course. Teaches them everything about entrepreneurship from soup to nuts. And then the other course is called the Entrepreneurship Practicum, and it's within the Center for Entrepreneurship. And the idea with this course is to give people what they call a capstone experience at the end of their entrepreneurship certificate education, to actually go through the process in a practical way of coming up with the idea for a business and then executing that idea through the process of almost going to market.
That is so important because a lot of people want to start businesses or have businesses, but they don't have the wherewithal
Definitely.
because so many mistakes are made
Yes.
by people just, I'm going to get out here and I'm do this, it's going to look like this, and they really don't know that baseline information that you need to know. Isn't that correct?
Yes, and it really hurts our communities because when you think about it, we have all of this entrepreneurial power in society. We have all these innovations. We have all this technology.
Well, you go back to ages and ages ago with the Africans,
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. So many of them, entrepreneurs, they had their own businesses and so forth. But they say now that more and more young people and people are going into entrepreneurism.
Yes, and they're doing it by necessity because those jobs aren't there. When I came out of school and decided I was going to university to study engineering, some of people in my neighborhood said, why are you doing that? You're crazy. You can go over to GM and get a good job.
Yeah.
I'm making more money than you are right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And it's just that wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to study engineering. I wanted to build things. But I was going to say that we have a little bit of a broken situation because the people who are in these communities now, many of them are not empowered to start their own businesses. They don't know how to go about it, or they don't have the particular skill that's needed, or if they do have the skill, they don't have access to the resources
Yeah.
that they need to do it. So that's kind of what I'm involved in now, kind of pushing that technology and pushing that empowerment out into the community so people can experience the same kind of thing I did in starting a business.
Well, so that technology piece, that's very important. Can you talk to that?
Definitely. It's technology and it's innovation. It's innovation even more so than technology because when
Tell our audience what innovation is.
well, innovation is coming up with something that solves a problem in some way that is new and novel. And so innovation can be a new dance step, that
That's
you
true.
get everybody doing, and you can start a business based on that.
The
Teaching
hustle.
People, exactly. There's a lot of hustle consultants out
I
there.
know, aficionados.
And it can be things. So it can be things in the arts. It can be things in the field of education, and it can be technology. I mean, technology has gained a lot of sway lately because of the famous cases of people who have made a lot of money, starting businesses in technology. But what we really need is innovation, and innovation that starts with identifying a problem that exists somewhere in the community and solving that problem in a way that is profitable and sustainable. And if we can teach people how to do that, I think that the entire community will move ahead. It's not just coming up with some neat thing that you
Yeah.
can sell to somebody, but it's actually identifying again a need out there in the community that you can address. And it does two things. One, if you're able to do that profitably and sustainably, you can make a living from it, so you do well financially, but you also feel that you're contributing to the community, and there's no better combination than that.
And then once you have children, you're showing them something.
Definitely. You're showing them that they can make a difference.
Very, very, very important. So, David, you've given talks down at Tech Town, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What have they been about?
They've been one of the first involvements there was a course that was a one morning kind of course that taught people how to go from their idea to an enterprise. So you come up with some bright idea, and you want to know, can this support a business? How do I determine if this idea really is a business opportunity? And if it is a business opportunity, how do I then take that and make it into a business? And so that was the first thing.
Can a business be a nonprofit business too? I mean, is that? I'm not saying not the same thing. I'm just saying some people get into nonprofits,
Sure.
but can you make money from a nonprofit?
Definitely. There are lots of not-for-profit businesses out there, and
What's the difference?
the difference is that you don't have shareholders, you don't have owners in a not-for-profit business, but the people who work in that, you still have to have a value proposition in a not-for-profit.
Yes,
You have to be
yes.
providing something that somebody is willing to provide the resources
Because
for.
it's funny, isn't Blue Cross a nonprofit?
That's what I understand.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
making money
And their
hand over.
executives there are a lot of big, the NFL is
Yeah,
a not-for-profit
that
business.
amazes me.
Yeah, so it's just another way of organizing, and I don't tend to focus on not-for-profit businesses
Right, I
myself.
know you don't.
But those businesses do a lot of good in a lot of communities. But even in that case, you still have to identify what value you're bringing and who's going to pay for that value. In those cases, lots of times it's a third party, like a foundation or a community group that's funding that not-for-profit, that's providing services to someone else.
Oh, wow. So, David, my viewers who are watching, say if somebody, I'm going to start with something really, well, small.
Yeah.
For years, this woman's been baking cakes and doing various dishes out of her house.
Yes.
I mean, and she's had to get some help now
Mm-hmm.
because it is just becoming so much. She's not only doing business here in Detroit, but people have heard about her out in
Mm-hmm.
the area. Can she start a business
Certainly. Yeah.
because she's seen some demand for what she does?
Mhm.
Would that be the key?
There are a lot of food entrepreneurs out there now,
Yeah.
and there's starting to be some support for food entrepreneurs, like shared kitchens.
Oh,
And I think there's one going up in Eastern Market.
Really?
Area. That's from what I understand.
because I know one in Southfield. There's
Yeah.
one in
And up in
Southfield.
Flint, they just established one. They're in the process of
Isn't
establishing
that
one. So not only does that give you a place to produce your product, it gives you access to a group of people who you can network with. And there might be other employees, there might be partners, or just people that give you advice. So
So
I
I just
typically,
wanted to take it small like that
yeah,
and see how it blossoms. But once you start it, don't you have to have a marketing plan? Aren't there things that are important to the word getting out? Because here
sure,
you want money, or you may get some money to invest in this, in mom and pop's cooking.
yeah.
Um, but now, since you're deciding to do a business, you have to generate money coming in, more money coming
Hmm.
in, don't you?
Hmm. Well, you have to generate enough to sustain yourself and to try to grow the business. So the first thing you have to do is to think in terms of who are you serving. Lots of times people start a business because it's something they like to do. They might like to cook, so they say, "Okay, I'm going to start a business making such and such." Who's going to buy that?
I know.
Who is your target customer for
Right.
that? And then you have to think in terms of, well, what am I delivering to them that they're not able to get now? And so if it's a food business, you might be thinking in terms of, how am I going to sell? What's my, what they call it, a channel? What's my what's my sales channel? Am I catering? Am I selling things in stores? Am I selling things out of my house? So there are different aspects of a business
Well,
model.
I was reading about a woman. She's in Pennsylvania or North Carolina, but she had these cookies.
Mm. Hmm.
And the cookies are in so many stores and malls now
Yeah,
in that state.
yeah.
They have a website, but they don't offer the cookies yet
Hmm.
on that website. And because I really wanted to order a bag of these cookies.
Yeah.
And I said, she started right in her kitchen.
Uh-huh.
And now it's all over. They said, we will let you know when we start exporting them.
Uh-huh.
So because of the internet, things have become more global.
Definitely, definitely. Both in terms of distribution, you could sell those cookies over the internet if they would remain fresh and
Yeah.
desirable. But you can also let people know about them over the internet. So
Well, it's funny because even Saks sells cupcakes, they
mhm.
sell cookies, they have all this food
Yes,
that they sell,
yeah,
and people take it, but they're not the creators of the food. They're various vendors and
yes.
so forth.
Well, it allows people to do what we need to do. The kinds of businesses that are going to really bring up communities like Detroit and Flint are smaller versions of businesses like the auto companies are. They send product out and money comes back.
Wow.
You don't need businesses that just circulate money in the community, or where you give money to somebody and it goes out of the community. That doesn't necessarily grow the community. But when you have a business where you're sending products out and money is coming back, that's really what you want to focus on and grow.
So, what do you in the young people or the people over at Tech Town, are all of them like college graduates or what? Tell me.
It
What's
runs a
up?
range. Techtown has run a student accelerator in the summers because it's when they have access to a lot of students who
Oh,
are on break. Uh,
college students.
Right, college
Okay.
students, and they take them through the process. And you build teams with these students and take them through the process of creating and then designing a business. But then Techtown also has done accelerators for adults who might be interested in starting a business, and they may be people who are working full time in some other company and looking to do something on the side, like we did once upon a time, or they may be people who have already formed a team and are just looking for the advice and support and financial resources that they might be able to access through Techtown.
I noticed that a lot of young people are doing the entrepreneurial thing
Hmm.
right now. I've seen them pop up kitchens, pop up. What is a pop up? Why don't you tell the
Well,
audience?
it's a temporary business that's designed to generate some activity and explore a particular area. So downtown, there were pop-up businesses the last few years that people might go in and create a clothing store or create a grocery store or a store that sells specialty items. And that enables the entrepreneur to determine whether this thing is going to work without, an ongoing
That big
commitment. Right.
investment, right?
Right, and the development community, the community development people can determine if this kind of thing is going to work in that particular area. So it really serves both ends.
Wow, this is just this information. I'm just eating it all up. It is amazing to me. So if you were young, you're still young, David, David Tarver,
Oh,
what would you be thinking about right now at the age of, let's say, 20,
mhm.
2 years into college and so
Yeah.
forth? Would you be thinking of going to like a comparable Bell Labs situation, or would you be thinking about your own business, knowing
Yeah.
what you know now?
I would look to get some experience in the field first, as I did. It's hard to replace actual experience at someone else's expense. So I got good experience at General Motors' expense. I knew how to do purchasing and production control and stuff like that from the time I spent at GM. So when I got out of school and had a few years at Bell Labs and started my business, I had my purchasing, office. I was the purchasing agent, and I would sit in one of the bedrooms of my house and do that. I learned how to do that because of my job experience at General Motors, and I learned how to develop sophisticated electronic things from my experience at Bell Labs and how to manage the development of those things. So it's important to get some experience, I think, first, unless you're in a field that's brand new that nobody has experience in, and there are things like that.
There.
And so if it's something where you can't go somewhere and get the experience, yeah, maybe you should jump out there and start it, while you're in school or right out of school. When Michael Dell started Dell Computers, there weren't a lot of places he could go to learn how to make personal computers that you could ship to people. He was doing it in his dorm room. He said, "I'm doing it already, so we'll build this company up from here."
Amazing. That's innovation.
Definitely.
That's definitely innovation. So, right now, what would you tell my audience about if they're thinking of a business? What should be the first thing that they should do? Like seek out some help,
Yes.
or why don't you?
Yeah, so the thing that I tell people all the time, people have ideas all the time, and we like to tell our students that ideas are a dime a dozen, right?
I
They
know,
come easy. But it costs less than it ever did to investigate those ideas. You can get on the internet and find out what you just Google your idea. Chances are you'll find that somebody has thought of that, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It may mean that, hey, this is other people are thinking about
a
this.
resource,
Is a good thing to do.
and it could be a resource,
Exactly.
depending.
But I encourage people to get started on whatever their idea is by exploring the different aspects of that idea, and to connect with people locally who are also interested in starting businesses, and learn something about the process. There are all kinds of organizations in Detroit. We have something called D2 New Tech, or D New Tech, Detroit New Tech. It's a technology meetup group. There's an Ann Arbor meetup group. There's a Detroit Soup, where people talk about their business ideas and ideas for improving the community. So it always helps to connect with people.
Sometimes people don't know where can I go. Sometimes they just don't know.
Well, in Detroit, if you go down to there's a place called D Hive, and they have something called the Biz Grid there that describes all of the different agencies that are there to help people start businesses, and financing agencies, advisory agencies. And so that's a good place to start as well, in terms of identifying what's out there. But if you just go on the internet and you were to type, Detroit entrepreneur, you'd find all kinds of things that
Wow.
that you can
Yeah,
connect with.
that meetup group situation. There are a lot of those now.
Definitely.
What's the shirt you have there?
Oh, I almost forgot.
Oh, I saw it on your lap.
last weekend we had last Friday we had a seminar at University of Michigan. It was October 10th. It was the Urban Entrepreneurship Symposium, and we had over 300 people registered for this symposium. The idea was we want to build the support systems for urban entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
To teach
It's
people.
needed because with all that's happening in Detroit, and I can say this kind of quickly because we don't have but a couple of minutes, but all the changes in Detroit,
Yeah.
sometimes people are feeling lost. They're
Right.
feeling like they're falling. They're not a Dan Gilbert, or
Right.
you don't have to be.
We want people to get empowered, to feel empowered. So we have this shirt that we were were handing out at the symposium last week. A few people got them. Our volunteers got them, and it says Urban Entrepreneurship Initiative, business innovators serving urban communities. That's what it's about.
UrbanEye.net.
UrbanEI.net.
Oh,
You go to
EI.
the website, Urban Entrepreneurship Initiative, so
Oh, that is.
UrbanEI.net, and then we have a hashtag Fix My City. Right.
Yeah,
Now on
yeah.
the front, it says, "What's your problem?"
Oh, I love that. Hey.
And so basically, we want entrepreneurs, not to just start with an idea, but to start with a problem that they want to solve, and then formulate a solution and a business idea from there. So that's for
Really?
you.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Oh,
big.
thank
You use
you.
it as a nightshirt if
Oh
you.
no. Hey, I use this. Hey, don't let the something fool you. I can. So, David, once again, and we do have to get back together, me, you, and Michelle,
Definitely,
because
definitely.
I have some questions for you now.
Well, we generated a lot of ideas at that last one, so
Yeah,
we could
we
follow
have
up
some
on 'em.
great. Well, no, it isn't that. Time, and then my sympathies because your mom
Yes,
passed, and she was a wonderful
she
woman,
was.
and but we could get back up on that horse. So we're trying to learn how to do some things because people spread us in a lot of directions,
Yeah,
but we want to be focused and we want to do things right.
definitely.
And the resources you gave us this morning were invaluable. I really appreciate you coming.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course, of course. So everyone, you heard it here. This man, I hope I could catch up with him for his next visit because he's all over. So, okay, then we'll be back in just a few minutes with Table Talk with Brenda Perryman. We'll be right back. Thank you.